Good evening, good evening, good evening, my complex babies. This is your girl, Cynthia Knight, coming to you with our new edition of the Complex Collective. I'm so happy to have you here with me this evening. And if you're one of my new babies, I want to thank you for jumping on board and giving us a chance. I would ask that you just click on the like button or the subscribe button so you can know everything that's going on in the complexity and what's going on with our community. We're happy to have you here. But let's go ahead and jump right on into it. I'm happy to be back on camera with you all. I had to just come and make sure that I have wrapped this whole Will Smith issue up. We'll talk about complex, where we discuss all things complex. This one is complex. I thought it was pretty straightforward. I thought that I would have had the majority view. But what I'm seeing is all of our varying backgrounds and how we were raised, our cultural influences have all played an impact on how we see this Will Smith situation. So I wanted to jump in. I want to talk about all of these different aspects. So before we do that, let me do some housekeeping. For those of you all who know me in a professional capacity, this is my private time. And this is what I like to do. And this is my opinion, not related to the job in any way or any people that I know in any professional capacity. So with that out of the way, and if you're not here to support me, if you know me in a professional capacity and you're not here to support me, click off, babies. Click off. Thank you. So with that out of the way, let's get right on into it. So I thought everybody was going to kind of see this the same way. But we are real divided, y'all. Real divided. So from my aspect, like I said in my previous, I don't condone violence. I do not condone violence. I do not think that it was necessarily right for Will to smack Chris Rock. I don't think it in any time should you get up on live TV and assault someone. Because, I mean, in legal terms, that's what it was, an assault. He assaulted somebody on live television. I don't even think that's smart. But with that being said, this man had to have been triggered. He had to have been triggered. Will Smith got up calmly, walked up to that stage, smacked him in the face, walked back calmly, and sat down. Now, for all of you all who are talking about, well, he laughed, he found it funny himself, can I just propose, have you ever met someone or had that friend or family member who did that one tear before they flicked off? I mean, like went black and went crazy? There are people who have that nervous energy laugh where they laugh and then sucker punch. They laugh and then will kill you. I mean, they've made characters about it. The Joker, the Penguin. I mean, there are psychotic people that laugh before they do something. So for me, his laughter didn't play a part in this at all. I've seen people black out for less. So that doesn't seem to be a valid argument to me, that he was laughing and it wasn't until he saw that Jada was upset. I think Jada's face and her rolling her eyes didn't help the situation, but I don't think this sat well with Will to begin with. I do really think he was triggered. This is the biggest night of his career. All actors do. I mean, the pinnacle is to win the Oscar. He has won all season long. It was his statue to lose. So I'm not going to go in there saying that he knew for sure that he won, but I think we all had the opinion that Will Smith was the front runner for this award. So obviously, if he is going to get up and move towards him, he was triggered. This wasn't funny. And I understand Chris Rock is a comedian, but these jokes, everything isn't a joke. Everything, there are limits. And I'm not justifying what Will did. I'm not saying it's okay to do the violence, but what I think he did was put a line in the sand about where you can cross now. I mean, okay, we all know that you only get like 10 or 15 seconds to say your acceptance speech. Did you all notice that there was no cue music? They let Will on his acceptance speech keep talking. And I think because they were scared. They was like, we ain't telling this man to get off the stage or anything because they didn't know where they was. Sometimes people they forget and they get shaken up by experiences. And maybe this is the proverbial line in the sand to say everything isn't fair game for jokes. Me personally, my personal opinion is I think children and medical issues need to be off limits. Those are just things you don't joke about. I don't care if Jada said she doesn't care what people say about her hair loss or what do you expect her to say? I'm devastated. Please don't talk about my hair so all the haters can come out and start talking about her hair. I mean, I have my own health issues. There's like certain things you just have to maintain in secrecy about how you feel about things. And hair loss is a very personal thing. And Chris Rock, he made a whole documentary on black women and black hair and the hair bit. How he could be insensitive to the point to make that reference, which gets us back into how I don't understand some of these arguments. But to counter my part, and I have notes written here, so I have to look at these notes because they are definitely, some of them are not my thoughts. But I did hear a counter to my argument that I just said just now is someone mentioned that the G.I. Jane was not, the G.I. Jane reference was not an insult. It was actually a compliment. It was a compliment about self-empowerment and that G.I. Jane was a beautiful woman, hair on or hair off. And, Jada would be lucky to be in that position. That is not where Chris Rock was coming from, in my opinion. When somebody starts with, I love you, in that kind of reference, that something probably is coming that's not so lovely. But just let's look at the logistics of it. And I don't want to be on here for a long time on a soapbox about it, but it is one of these complex issues. There's a lot of sides to it. But I think you got a lot of nerve to stand flat-footed on a stage, and I'm not 10 or 15 feet in front of you, and you feel free enough, entitled enough to insult me to my face about something personal and a medical issue. Me just saying it does something to me. That's bold. That's bold. It would be one thing if it was set up in like the theater thing and the Smiths weren't near the front of the stage or something like that. But they were like, I'm going to look you down. I'm going to stand flat footed on this stage. I'm going to look you dead in your face and I'm going to insult you about your medical issue on an international stage and then call it a joke and laugh. And just to prove the point, if you go back and watch the video, there was a lot of people who were booing that. It wasn't funny by everybody. And then he tried to dismiss the audience because he knew that it didn't go over well because people knew that that was a medical issue for Jada. So let's get into some of these alternative views that made me, I'm open. I like to hear what other people have to say. I'm not so egocentric that I would think that my opinion is the only opinion. So there's some people out there who are saying that Jada manipulated Will. She's never cared about him. And, or should I say never cared about protecting him, because why didn't she grab for him or say, no, baby, or even try to stand up? To that, I'm kind of like, well, you got to remember this was a live show. She might have thought in the moment it would make it more of a spectacle. Plus, you got to remember, Jada had that dress on that was probably, I don't know, the train was so long. She probably couldn't even move that quick if she wanted to. There was the argument that Chris Rock was doing his job as a comedian. Yes, your job is to tell jokes. Your job is not to humiliate people on an international stage. If you can't find out how to make a joke at without it being at somebody else's expense, then you're not a good comedian. That's my opinion. And then somebody else said it was a super underhanded joke, and that the real reason why it was so bad was because it was really about the reference to Demi Moore, the actress who was G.I. Jane, and the fact that she cheated with a younger man, Ashton Kushner, and then alluding to their May December romance, trying to take it and parallel it to Jada and August Alsina's relationship or entanglement or whatever you want to call it. Then I've heard people say that, Jada was playing Will again, that, she was throwing Tupac up in her, Will's face. Like if you were Tupac, he wouldn't have let this go. Like, I don't buy that either. I've never seen Will try to be Tupac, but I have heard Jada talk about Tupac quite a bit. I did see this Asian lady on TikTok that was saying that they applaud what Will Smith did because he maintained his dignity and stood up for his family. So this does fall on cultural lines. I think it really depends on your upbringing and how you see it. I've heard people say that Will has disgraced the Black race in its entirety, that we've worked so hard to get to this point for him to do this, and that Chris is the professional because he maintained his status. Now, I will give Chris Rock all the kudos in the world. He did maintain. I saw his arm cock a little bit, and then he did pause, like, I could do something, but I'm gonna hold back. Chris Rock held himself together very well under the circumstances, but I also think he also owned the moment. Like, he knew the part he played in that. He's a 50 something. I'm a 50 something. Will and Jada are 50 somethings. The way we were raised, when you said something out of turn, it was nothing to get smacked in your mouth. You knew not to say the wrong thing because it potentially could land hands in your face. And I think Will got triggered all the way back to them times, and he went up there and smacked the taste out of Chris Rock's mouth. Was it right? No. Do people understand it? I believe so. I mean, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, everybody's divided. It's like Team Will, Team Chris. I just hope we can get to some place where we all can just let it go. Do I think Will needs to lose his Oscar over it? No. Do I think it might happen? Yes. Even though Whoopi said it wouldn't, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure, my babies. This is a complex one. We said we were going to discuss all things complex, so here we go. So I guess that's it. I'm gonna leave it there. Tell me what you think in the comments. I'm interested in these different opinions. I don't know what I think anymore. I do understand how he was insulted. I do understand what could have triggered him to walk up on the stage and do what he did. Do I think he should have done it? No, I don't condone violence. But there's a whole lot of people who think, you say the wrong thing, there's consequences to your actions. and Chris got the consequences. Other people are saying, Will's being a punk. Where was all that energy when it came to August and the entanglement? You know, those are private family matters that, the Smiths have to live with. So I'm past my time limit, babies. I'm going to get off right now, and tell me what you think in the comments. I think this is going to be my last discussion on the topic, but I appreciate you hanging out with me in the Complex Collective, where we discuss all things complex. You all have a good evening, and I will see you on the next show. Bye-bye.